Okay, now beginning with the second module, page 92, the third paragraph. It's a series, said Ivan Dimitrich after a long silence. So there is probability that we have won. It's only a probability, but there it is. So now here he was so happy with the fact that they could be possible winners of the lottery ticket. Well, now look, wait a minute, we have plenty of time to be disappointed. It's on the second line from the top, so the price is 75,000. That's not money but power, capital. And in a minute I shall look at the list and there 26. I say, what if we really have won? So now here he's so excited that he doesn't want to really check to see whether he is the one who, or whether his number of 26 is actually the winning number. So with all that happiness and thrill and excitement, and an inkling of doubt that it could only be a probability that they could have won the ticket, but and then he goes on to give an assurance to himself that they have got plenty of time to be disappointed. And then he goes on to say that since their series number 9499 is the second line from the top, so the prize money is also a good big fat handsome amount. It's around 75,000 rubles. And hearing that amount of money, anybody could become a little greedy at that moment. So he goes on to a fantasizing mode, and then he's saying that is not just money, it is power, capital. Okay. And then he's telling his wife that don't worry, in a minute I will just look at the list to find out whether our number 26 is there. The husband and the wife began laughing and staring at one another in silence. The possibility of winning bewildered them. They could not have dreamed what they both needed that 75,000 for. They were yet to think of what they would buy or where they would go with it. They thought only of the figures 9499 and 75,000 and pictured them in their imagination, while somehow they could not think of the happiness itself, which was so possible. So he's saying now they became so blind to that moment of happiness that they were not their minds were not allowing them to double check or cross check to see whether their number of 26 was really there in their list. Immediately both of them they were unable to ever think in their wildest dreams that they could come into the possession of 75,000 rupees. And then they were now not at all ready as to how they would be utilizing this money, how they would go about spending this money. So, and they say they could not think of the happiness itself, which was so possible. And then they are saying that now as they were getting acquainted with the fact that they could be possible winners of this 75,000, they could not imagine the happiness that it has brought to them. Ivan Dimitrich, holding the paper in his hand, walked several times from corner to corner, and only when he had recovered from the first impression did he begin dreaming a little. So now he was not able to contain his excitement, so he started pacing up and down the room. And then only after sometimes when that feeling started setting into his mind, registering into his mind, only then he began dreaming a little. Now see how his dream, this thing goes on. And if we have won, he said, why, it will be a new life, it will be a transformation. The ticket is yours, but if it were mine, I should first of all, of course, spend 25,000 on real property in the shape of an estate, 10,000 on immediate expenses, new furnishing, traveling, paying debts, and so on. The other 40,000 I would put it in the bank and get interest on it. Yes, an estate, that would be nice, said his wife, sitting down and dropping her hands on the lap. Somewhere in the Tula or Oriol provinces. Even if we didn't need a summer villa, we could always rent it out. So now he has gone into the fantasizing mode. He is dreaming about how he would go about spending his 75,000, and he lists out the amount. Like he would set aside a certain amount on buying real property, on buying property. Then he would set aside an amount and another amount of 10,000 for immediate expenses. Maybe they had some debts or things that immediately had to be seen to. Then he says that another 40,000 he would put it as deposits in the bank, and from that whatever interest that he would get, he would carry on his expenses. And then even his wife also agrees to it, because at the very beginning when he starts his fantasizing, he tells that though the money is yours, it becomes ours, indirectly it becomes ours. And so this is how he has already chalked out how to go about spending it. And then when his wife hears also all this details, she is also agreeing with it, and she's saying yes, an estate would be fine. And then she also goes on to mention as to where it would be a good choice to buy. And then now on page 93, the paragraph next to the picture. And pictures came crowding on his imagination, each more gracious and poetical than the last. And in all these pictures he saw himself well-fed, serene, healthy, feeling warm, even hot. Hereafter, eating a summer soup, cold as ice, he lay on his back on the burning sand close to the stream or in the garden under a lime tree. It is hot. His little boy or girl are crawling about near him, digging in the sand and catching ladybirds in the grass. He dozes sweetly, thinking of nothing and feeling all over that he need not go to the office today, tomorrow, or the day after, or tired of lying still, he goes to the hay field or to the mountains for mushrooms. So now here he is fantasizing as to how he would go about spending that money that he would come into. And he chalks out how he would be spending his day, how he would be spending his time with his children and with his boy and the girl, his two children. And also he goes about that saying that if it is hot, he would have, if the climate is hot, he would be having summer soup, and he would be lying on his back, and he imagines all the fun that he would have in the summer. And also he goes on to say that now he needn't have to go go to work, go to his office every day, not today, not tomorrow, nor ever after. And then he says that if he gets tired lying on his back, he would shift positions and go to another place, or he would go into the forest and search for mushrooms. Or now coming to page 94, or he would spend the time watch the peasants catching fish with the net. So he would be watching, now since he had got a lot of free time in his hand, he would watch the other people trying to catch fish in their nets. And then when the sun sets, he'll take a towel and a soap and saunters to the bathing shed and goes into the water. And in the water, little fish flint to and fro, and green water weeds nod their heads. After bathing, there is tea with cream and milk rolls, in the evening a walk with the neighbors. So now he goes on fantasizing as to how he would be spending his daytime. He would be watching the other poor peasants catching this thing. Then after he's tired, he would go into the bathing shed. He would have a relaxing bath, and after that, after he finishes with his bath, he visualizes that tea would be ready, and that also, just not ordinary tea. It would be tea with cream in it, and of course also some snacks like milk rolls also. And so his imaginations runs really wild, and at the same time even his even his wife also starts her visualizing about how she would also start spending the money. Yes, it would be nice to buy an estate, said his wife, also dreaming, and from her face it was evident that she too was enchanted by her thoughts. So now here, not only the husband was daydreaming about how he would go about spending his day after he comes into big time money. Now even his wife is also gone into the daydreaming mood, so she also agrees with him that yes, it would be really good to be buying some property. And then from her expressions, he was also able to make out that yes, now his wife has also gone into her dreaming mode. Then Ivan Dmitrich pictured to himself autumn with its rain, its cold evening, and a St. Martin summer. And that season he would have to take longer walks about the garden and beside the river, so as to get thoroughly chilled and eat a salted mushroom or a soused cucumber. The children would come running from the kitchen garden, bringing a carrot and a radish, smelling of fresh earth, and then he would lie stretched full length on the sofa and in leisurely fashion turn over the pages of some illustrated magazine, or covering his face with it and unbuttoning his waistcoat, give himself up to slumber. So now here he imagines how he would be spending his time during the summer. He imagines all the fun that he would have in the summer, and he feels that he cannot handle the depression of the rainy season. He says that rainy season is not a very good time, so he imagines that when it is rainy season, he imagines himself visiting the warmer European countries. And he also goes on to say that if he has to be spending time of the rainy season in that place itself where his new home is, then how he would go on spending. He would go out for long walks till he becomes really chilled, and then when he comes back, returns home, his children would be there to be greeting him with fresh radish and carrots plucked out from the garden. And he would prefer eating a salted mushroom or some type of pickled cucumbers. And then when he is tired, he would relax himself. He would unbutton his waistcoat, and he would relax, stretch himself out on the sofa, and put himself to sleep there on the sofa. And then he says that the St. Martin summer is followed by cloudy, gloomy weather. It rains day and night. The bare trees sweep. The wind is damp and cold. The dogs, the horses, the fowls are all wet, depressed, downcast. There is nowhere to walk. One can't go out for days together. One has to pace up and down the room, looking despondently at the grey window. It is dreary. Ivan Dmitrich stopped and looked at his wife. I should go abroad, Masha, he said. So he says that, he visualizes that if at all they have to be spending their rainy season there at that place where they are, then it would be really very awful, because, they would be only, caught up within the four confines of the walls of their houses. They would not get a chance to go out, and they would only from their windows staring out, they would be watching the bare trees, the animals. All of them are all wet in their respective sheds or in their barns and all, and they are also depressed. Even Ivan and his wife also would be depressed because they are not able to go out of their houses. They are all confined to their houses. And then he is suggesting to his wife that when the climate is such, then it is better that they go abroad to spend their time on at such places where it is much greener. Okay, so children, I'll stop my second module here, page 94.